We alive, we alive, we alive, we alive. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Okay, mic check, 1, 2. All right, welcome. Good evening, my friends, my ladies, my gentlemen. All right, we're going to dive into this conversation very quickly. Welcome. How is everybody doing today? I hope everyone had a good day, good day, good day. It's another Wednesday live with Building Community Wealth. Building Community Wealth with Dr. OJ. And today we're going to be diving deep into some relationship issues. It's so interesting that a lot of my conversations recently have centered around relationship. That's because, there's no other way for us to build wealth successfully if we don't have the right relationships. So today, Building Community Wealth is talking about relationships and the state of our affairs in our African diaspora and community. I have a lot vested in this conversation, so it really hits my heart really hard. So yeah, that's why I made it a topic tonight, and I think it fits very well into our whole scenario, our whole theme of building community wealth. Because I don't know how we're going to build community wealth if we don't, first of all, build successful relationships within our community. Hello, Eclectic Gifts and Homes. Welcome to my live tonight. So tonight I'm going to be discussing the situation that we've been kind of facing. I mean, it's been an ongoing thing, and I just feel like it's worthy of discussing and talking about tonight. So I saw a post on my dear friend's page, Dr. Shola, and he was definitely doing a PSA for a man who is in need of a wife or a spouse or a relationship, and that relationship very specific. I mean, it's always good to be very specific to what you want. I don't believe in randomly selecting or hoping that things happen by chance. Success is not accidental. So dude wants to marry or dude wants to be in a relationship, but he's looking to bring someone in from Africa. He's very specific to the fact that he wants the lady to be able to come in from Africa. Of course, he has other stipulations that he has placed, which is his own preference. Nobody is judging. But I want to discuss what the state of, because I know that it's a thing that's been going on for a while. A lot of African, Nigerian, because I'm Nigerian, so I can be specific about Nigeria. I don't know about other African cultures, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. A lot of our Nigerian men they have the mindset that their spouse or their significant other will be better suited to them if she comes from the motherland. That means she has never touched this ground. And so bringing her here, from the motherland will give them a higher success rate in maybe marriage. And I'm not really sure why that is the indoctrination. I don't know whoever sold that information to anyone. And I don't know if women are of the same opinion or maybe women are doing the same thing, but I've not heard. I mean, of course, people can meet their spouse anywhere. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that if you meet your spouse in Africa, you should not marry them or something. So here is my conversation, and here is where I sort of want to come in this situation. There are two sides to every story. So this guy's side to the story is he wants to bring a wife in. And when I heard it at first, I'm like, okay, why do you need to go to that much expense? I mean, you live in the US. If it's so difficult for you to meet someone and get in a relationship with that person here, what gives you the guarantee that you will succeed bringing someone over from the other side of the country, a place where you don't live, you're not domicile, someone that you don't know, you're not familiar with? What gives you the peace of mind or the guarantee that bringing that woman here is going to give you the success? Maybe he feels like that would work for him. But there are many reasons why men do this, right? And don't get me wrong. So I'm going to sort of try to address it on one side as the advocate and on the other side as the other side of the advocacy as well. So I know that a lot of men might have experienced negativity when it comes to relationships. A lot of African men believe that women that live here or have lived here for a while are overly sophisticated. They believe that we are too advanced, we are too, we are too civilized, or we are too independent. And of course, the independence of this society and the enlightenment that comes with being a US citizen, someone who is able to fend for themselves, someone who is highly educated, hinders them from being a good wife, right? While that might have been the experience of some people, which I would not say, it doesn't happen, it happens. A lot of women get here across the border, even the ones that did not live here for long. They get here, they have certain awarenesses that this society provides, and they take that liberty for license to do things in a non-traditional way. And I know a lot of Nigerian men are quite traditional. They don't buy while they want to live in the US. They still want to enjoy the beauty and the experience of the traditional Nigerian family. And I love that, because even for me as a parent or even as a wife or something, I still run my household in the traditional cultural way that I was raised. There are certain things that I just cannot really adopt as an American, even as a Nigerian American or American Nigerian. I don't know which one comes first now. But there are certain things that I still don't indoctrinate myself or my kids. I do things the way I have known them to be done, the way I'm wired to do it as a Nigerian woman. Fine. So a lot of men might not really find that exciting. I don't know. They might not find that satisfaction when they're dealing with a woman who has sold out on her traditional values, who is fully immersed into the American culture, the American way of being. And when you even look at the other side, there are a lot of men who are also sold out to the American culture. A lot of men come here and they talk about 50-50. In our Nigerian culture, there's no 50-50. A man comes to find a wife and is 100% responsible for that woman and the household. So a lot of men live here with a mindset of the American, they take some of the Western values, but they also want to hold on to the cultural values. And then when they meet a woman who is not so much about the cultural values, they take that to mean, oh, you can't be a good wife. What makes you feel like you can't be? If it's okay for you to take on some of the Western values, to try to take some areas of living, maybe the socioeconomic part of it, and want to apply it, then the rest of it should be free game, right? Anyway, that's one side. Now, the other side of this whole thing is the women, right? And I had a lot of my sisters, have a lot to say about it. And it was so interesting that I also had a lot of my brothers in the singles community, the Singles Connect community that we're building. And you see, that's why, for some reason, I feel like a lot of my work has really transitioned in the people that I cater to. So my Singles Connect community definitely had very interesting conversations around this topic. Some people shared experiences about it was really bad. He brought someone from Nigeria and it was really bad. And of course, a lot of it was due to family pressure. So most men want to do it because their families are pressuring them. It's called male order bride. Indians do it, the Chinese do it, and it works well for them. I've actually, a lot of Indians that I know, a lot of them, except for the new generation, XYZ, most of the older generation Indians and Chinese, they have their spouses either sent to them from their country or they marry from their country and come here. But a lot of Indians, I have met a lot of Indians here in the US, they actually have their wives sent to them, or they go to marry their husbands from their homeland and bring them back here and they all settle. And I don't hear a lot of divorce in that community. That's quite interesting. I don't hear of a lot of divorce in the Indian community. And, it begs me to start thinking about the correlation between successful marriages and wealth, because this is building community wealth. That's why I started this Wednesday Lives, to talk about financial growth, community wealth, and there's so many areas that we have touched on. So when I look at those communities and see how well they are thriving in diaspora, Indians, Chinese, the Vietnamese, the Asian communities, I'm like, okay, what are they getting right that we are not getting right? First of all, we don't even want to marry each other on this side of the continent. Diasporan Africans, a lot of diasporan Africans, they don't want to marry each other here. They're like, I'm going to go find another African from back home. But those of us that are already here, how do we build community wealth if we are refusing to cohabitate? I don't know if it's cohabitate or I don't know, come together relationally, how are we going to really build community wealth? Because, this is our home. This is where we live now. Yes, some of us have the aspiration to return back to Africa, but for the most part, you are domiciled here in the US. And one thing I know is it's okay for one person to be wealthy and find success in whatever they're doing to make money. But I think the real wealth comes when it spreads across the family, then it spreads across the community. But if we're saying that we don't want to marry each other or we don't want to get into relationships with each other, we prefer to go outside of our geographical area to find somebody else who is not yet adapted to the way of living, who is not settled here, who would have to come here and really figure out a way. I mean, you would have to be almost fully responsible for that person being able to be settled in this place, rather than get together with someone who is already immersed in this economy, who already has everything together, and you guys can join forces and really grow wealth. Now it begs the discussion that we're having, why African communities are at the bottom of the scales when it comes to attaining wealth status in the United States. Do we have wealthy Africans? Yes, we do. Do we have wealthy Nigerians? Yes, we do. But when we look at Nigerians, Africans, Kenyans, whatever community, Africans as a community, do we have actual wealth that exists that we can boast of as a community that gives us veto power in this country that we call home? No, we don't. We are really at the bottom of the totem pole. I'm a licensed life agent and I have access to certain data from time to time when we look at, when you look at the census and when you look at activities in the financial space and you look at different demographics of success in the financial space. At the bottom of the list, when you look at the percentages, Africans and African Americans and then Hispanics, we are at the lowest scale. So if successful relationships would lead to wealthy communities, why are we not finding a common ground here in the diaspora to come together as a group to make it work? What really is the issue? So I've talked about, the situation of men and the experiences and why they might have opted for that. But let me go to the other side of this discussion, which I feel is quite interesting. While a lot of men might feel like, okay, they're going on the other side because they've had bad experiences. So now, if you've had a negative experience when it comes to this whole communal marriage, marrying your kind and things like that, I don't blame you. I can understand the kind of trauma that might be attached to that. But the reality of the matter is, if you say you want to throw out the baby and the bathwater, then it's just a complete loss. It doesn't make sense. So if you go bring a woman from Africa, like this guy is intending to do, he put all the stipulations, and the state of Nigeria, the state of Africa right now, people would literally do almost anything and everything to say they want to come over to this side. And I'm not saying that this side is exclusive to a select few. Please, everybody's welcome in the US. If you can get legal access to come in, please come through, come see for yourself. The grass is always greener on the other side, they say, around till you find out that if you stay and watered your own garden, then it might have actually turned green eventually. But that's not the point of tonight's live. You bring this woman who supposedly is home breed. She's from the motherland. She's traditional. You go and bring her from your village. And then you bring her here. The reality of the matter is, the same person who is unable to cohabitate with a woman in the US might find it difficult to live with a woman that he brings from Nigeria. Just because you think you're shipping someone in does not mean that the outcome will be different. Remember, you are the common denominator. The guy who is thinking that he's going to bring someone from there, or the lady who's thinking she's going to go find a guy from Nigeria, I don't know, whoever you think you're going to go, you are the common denominator. Just because you change geographical location does not mean that the outcome of your experiment is going to be different. Or it doesn't mean that you're going to have a different experience overall. So that's one thing that I know for sure. Humans at the core of our being, we are the same. The fundamental needs that we have. Our circumstances, maybe because we live in Nigeria right now, we're not so socioeconomically empowered. It might put us in a place of where we feel like, oh, this person is so humble. Oh, they're so home trained. They have home training. They are well trained. They are very good. But now they get here. They get a taste of the American dream. They get comfortable. Maybe the education they need, additional education that they need to settle, they get it. All of the empowerment that they need to be economically empowered and to be able to contribute to the family, they get it. And then, if that person is a good person, if she's a good woman, she will remain a good woman. If she has the fundamental belief systems that she's supposed to have, she has the fear of God, she will remain a good woman regardless. But guess what? If you go and carry somebody that that does not have any type of foundation whatsoever, they will put together a good package and present it to you. And of course, I know that this is not strange. A lot of people have experienced it, so whether it's from the male side or from the men's side. There are a lot of men that tricked women into bringing them to the US. Such romantic men, very kind, very mindful. The woman would even tell them, oh, I already have children. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to adopt your children. Your children will be our children. I will be a great father. All kinds of promises made, all kinds of false appearances created, smoke screen, and then they get here and they turn into monsters overnight, and they just flip the script on that woman, and they become so abusive. Narcissistic behavior starts to show through that they never knew they had. Another thing with that is the fact that you're trying to date or court someone, I don't know, and you decide you want to go get a wife from Nigeria. One thing I'm going to ask is this, for me as a Christian: is that really the will of God for you? Do you know if that is what God has for you? Or are you doing it out of your own desire to satisfy your ego? Because a lot of men, the reason why they do this, for the most part, I've found, is not because they feel like the women here are not good enough. It's because the women here are not willing to placate their egos. I'm not saying that a woman massaging her husband's ego is a bad thing, but there is a level to which some of our African brothers want a woman to be so subdued under their ego that it's unrealistic. It makes absolutely no realistic sense to the world that we're living in today. And then you now go and carry that woman. Is that what God has told you to do? Because even when it comes to this marriage thing, do you know what I've realized in this marriage thing? This relationship thing, if you go and attach yourself to the wrong one, speaking from very, very strong experience, you go and attach yourself to the right person, whether you got them from here or you got them from Nigeria. The reality of the matter is, if that is not God's will for you, you are not going to find the purpose, the satisfaction in fulfilling your purpose that you're supposed to find. Because fulfilling your purpose as a person is most important. And when you attach yourself to the wrong person, your money will be wrong, your life will be wrong, everything will just be wrong. You will just go out of order. Everything will be completely out of order. Now, if God is saying that is who he has for you, and he's telling you that that is who he wants you to get with, and he has told you that going to Nigeria is the best outcome for you, please, I beg, please definitely go ahead with it. And of course, if God has said it, he will follow through with it. He will send you the right person. I said it, even here in the US, a lot of single men and women that I get to interact with, some of the things that are limiting us is the fact that we are closed-minded and we really just want to stay within our natural pool, our familiar space, our community. Sometimes God might be pointing you or bringing you someone from another culture for you to intermarry with. Now, I don't know how often that happens. I don't know. Personally, for me in the Bible, I realized that God has very specific instructions in the kinds of people that he chooses for his children. Just like when was it Isaac's turn to get married? Abraham sent his servant to I think his family or something. It was his family sends him there to go and get a wife from his family's people because he understood the importance of keeping the bloodline pure. And I don't want to go down that spiritual path, but it's true. As I'm talking about it now, it's very, very true. If we're going to talk about building community wealth in the real sense of it, there are certain cultures here in the US that have gotten it right. I'm not saying they've gotten it right by the order of God or by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, but from the results, from the fruits that they are producing, they have actually gotten it right. I've looked at the Indians, I've looked at even the Jewish community. You rarely see them marry out of their culture. They keep it within the family because they understand certain things about building not just wealth, but building legacy. Legacy is easier built when you build on a very common ground, where there is more commonalities between the husband and the wife. When we talk about commonalities, belief systems, your ethics, your philosophies, your principles, your spiritual awareness, so many things play into that. So a lot of the communities that have gotten it right, they're doing something. And I feel like we Africans definitely have a lot to learn from those communities that are getting it right. We have a lot to learn to correct some of the errors that we have. So I'm not saying it's right for someone to go bring a wife from the abroad and bring them here, even though over there they call us the abroad, but now we're here. Nigeria is really the abroad. It's not wrong for someone to do that. But I always want to say this, whatever you do, whether in life, in business, one thing I have learned is this, and I'm going to maintain that position. Coming back full circle, you have to check with the gift giver, the person that gifted you this life that you have, the person that gifted you everything that you can call your own today. That is God. You have to ask him. You have to check with him to make sure that you are making the right choice, either as a man or a woman. That is my own kind of summary of the whole matter. It doesn't matter where you pick your spouse from. If it's not the will of God for you, if it's not the plan or the agenda of God for you, if you haven't checked with him, especially if you're a Christian, you're a child of God, you can't really make those decisions based on your own physical aspirations. As far as I know, you have to be willing to submit to a higher authority and let him guide you. He can find you your spouse in your area. And if he has to have you ship one up from anywhere else, it's because he has a specific reason why he's doing that. So let's not get carried away by all of these superficial things. You want a traditional woman so she can come to America and she can cook for you and kneel down and give you the food and feed you the food and wash your hand and wipe your nose and wipe your butt and all of that stuff and be submissive. I don't even know if that's the reason, you probably do not understand what all of those things mean in the first place. Because if you did, you would know that it doesn't really take you bringing someone from a village somewhere for all of those things to happen for you in marriage. You can actually marry a woman here in the US who will be more than happy to do that for you and with you, given the right circumstances are in place, given the right alignment is in place, given that you guys have gone through the right process, the right order of things to understand each other and to learn from each other. So it's very, very important for us to make these decisions with the mindfulness of knowing that, is this what God wants for me? And then when we now confirm that that's what God wants for us, whether you go and bring your wife from America or you bring them from Japan or Africa, it's really that's really up to you. But let's not be making these choices based on superficial reasons. I have a feeling that my Instagram family are not hearing me, so I don't know. I'm just going to finish the live because I'm live on YouTube. So guys, listen, I'm really, really excited for anyone who is finding, a lot of marriages are happening in 2024. So definitely 2024 is the year of marriages. God is restoring marriages. He's bringing people back together. So wherever everyone is finding their spouse, to God be the glory. So if yours is in Africa, please go and get them. But make sure that you know that that is the will of God for you. But one thing I know is this, as diasporans, and me just speaking from a diaspora perspective, we need to do better, finding a way to reach a common ground to connect with each other. I don't know, can you hear me? I don't know, can you hear me? Someone that just joined the live, I just want to make sure, I think my Instagram's voice is off. Can you hear me? No, they can't. Okay. All right. So I'm going to log out of Instagram and keep going on my live so that way I can definitely complete the conversation. But guys, listen, this is a very interesting topic, and I want you guys to chime in and let's have a good discussion. And if you really love to join the conversation full-fledged, we have a community on WhatsApp called Singles Connect Community. I'm going to drop the link under this video. If you want to join us, you definitely have to go through a verification process to be part of the community, because we want to keep the community wholesome and safe for all of our community members. So join us with the link below. You're invited, and let's have these wholesome conversations. We need to do better when it comes to putting ourselves in a relationship mode, So I'm really, really excited to talk about this. So if you have anything to talk about this guy, you know, who wants to bring a wife from Nigeria, he's very much welcome to do that. But why do you think he wants to do that? Guys, Africans in diaspora, are we just not able to get along? Why are we not able to marry from within our community and truly grow wealth on this side of the continent? A lot of us are working really hard, and we might be doing so well on our own, but I think that there is more of power in a community that has its own resources built within itself. And the only way that we can do that is when we're able to coexist together. That means we're able to marry within our community and be able to support each other financially, build our families, in turn, build our communities. Community wealth cannot happen overnight. That's why I took on the crusade of financial services, educating our community on live tools that can help them leverage the systems of America to build their own wealth. That is why I'm very passionate about educating our community, our men, our women, our businesses to do better when it comes to financial literacy, when it comes to building wealth, when it comes to tax-free retirement, and all the things that we learn about. But we can do better, and we would even have a stronger community when our wealth is built within ourselves, supporting each other's businesses. Let's start from there. You know, it's not just the fact that we don't want to marry each other. Africans are known for not supporting one another. Other cultures talk about it. So why do we have this problem with one another? What is the fundamental issue that we have with each other when we come to this side of the country? After all, if we never came to the US and we're all in Nigeria, we would not have a choice but to do business with one another. We will most likely not have a choice than to marry each other. So now that we are in this land, in the diaspora land, why are we not able to find that type of support for one another? Why don't we trust each other enough to be able to build strong, thriving families together? So that's some questions for us to think about. And I'd really love to get your feedback on this live. Drop your comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you of the opinion that you're better suited finding, especially if you're a guy? This is more from the men's perspective, actually. They feel like they have to go back home to find their wives when there are a lot of single women here. And I'm not advocating for myself. No. It's just the fact that the reality is there's so many single women in diaspora who are really ready and willing to settle down, get in serious relationships. And these men are going to Africa to bring the women that are over there here. That, to me, is a problem, because the same women that you're bringing here will eventually become one of us. The same women that you are bringing here will eventually become one of the women here in diaspora. And what do you do then? You're going to leave her and then go and bring another one. So here's the thing. I feel like we need to start from a place of healing first. There's so many people that have been beaten, they've been hurt, they've been traumatized. We need to find ourselves some healing. We need to get some relationship coaching. A lot of Africans, in fact, we are the most knowledgeable people in the world because we learn. We like to learn. We take courses, we take classes, we take training, coaching, everything. But the one thing that we don't invest in learning about is relationships and marriages. We need to invest in that. If we're going to start being successful in the area of marriage and relationships, we need to start becoming intentional with learning about how to do these things. We have to learn how to heal from our traumas. A lot of us have traumas that came with us from Nigeria. We brought it here. We never healed from it. A lot of us have traumas of experiences that we've had as immigrants that is floating into our relationship life. We have to heal from that. A lot of us have traumas that is floating from so many different sources. Hurts, disappointments. Life has shown us shege. Immigrants actually see the most shege in this life. If you've never migrated from your homeland to another country, man, you might not really be able to resonate with what I'm talking about. But a lot of immigrants experience so much negativity on their journey to migrating and becoming immersed in the new culture and getting all of the necessary things in place. It's very traumatizing. So I understand. But that does not keep us in that state. We should not stay in that traumatic state. We should learn how to heal. We have to learn how to heal so that we can be whole. And when we are whole, we can have whole relationships. For me personally, I recommend spiritual healing first. I know they'll say Africans are so spiritual. We believe in praying. Yes, we are spiritual. Yes, but let us take our spirituality to a very intimate, personal relationship with God. It's not about spirituality of what one prophet, pastor, person said. I'm not saying to undermine those people in their own state of authority, but I'm saying that even as Africans especially, we need to become personally responsible for our spirituality. We need to get to know God for ourselves. We need to get to know him personally so that he can guide us and heal us. We can give him all of our hurts and pain and all of the troubles and traumas that we're going through, and then he will guide us. I advocate strongly within my gifted community that in order for you to thrive in this gifted community, you have to know the gift giver. It's a non-negotiable. It's not by force, but it's a non-negotiable. If the system that we are preferring to you as a solution to discovering your gifts and journeying into purpose, you have to get to know the gift giver, because he's our alpha partner. He's the one that we partner with. Without him, we could not do any of the things that we do. We don't run our lives by ourselves. We don't run our programs by ourselves or by our own wisdom. We run it by the wisdom of God. So we need to find that healing. And then, of course, we also need to believe in taking advantage of several other resources. Therapy is a resource. Premarital counseling is a resource. Premarital, in fact, I just learned something which I would love to share, right? When we're talking about building community wealth. Premarital counseling is really the counseling that couples who are in relationships go through in order to determine if they are ripe enough to move forward with their engagement. That's if when they start thinking about getting engaged, you have to go through that premarital counseling. It's sort of like sessions of therapy that allows each of you to discover certain things or to determine whether or not this is the right move for you to make. Yes, those people are equipped with knowledge, wisdom, understanding that would allow them to professionally guide and would also allow them to professionally help you discern if this decision to move forward in engagement is the right one. And then after the premarital counseling, then once you are right fit to get engaged, once you get the engagement on and it's set and you have a wedding date, now you go into marital counseling. That is where you now learn tools and resources that everyone needs to have to be equipped. You know, there's nobody that goes into a situation without equipping. Even the Bible says, study to show yourself approved. So why don't we want to study to show ourselves approved for marriage? We want to have the wedding dress, the ceremony, the guests and the fun, the amazing elaborate proposals and all those things. But the core of the success of that marriage is tied to you being a good student of the of marriage. Yeah, you have to study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman wisely dividing. So you're able to decipher matters. You're able to understand. You know how to do conflict resolution without bringing all your family members into it. You're able to understand that your partner is who they are and you're not marrying them to change them. You're able to understand all those things. So many things that are taught in marriage counseling that a lot of people do not take the time to learn. So if you do pick a spouse, whether from here or you pick a spouse from Nigeria, all of these things are recommended steps that you need to take. And these are the steps that we are recommending in the Singles Connect community as we begin to grow that community and encourage and build each other up, whether for friendships, for relationships, and eventually for those who are called into marriage for successful, thriving marriages as God will have it. So that's just really my heart in this season. Wealth building is God desires that we build up because it's so important for his children to be equipped with wealth. Kingdom wealth is necessary. For the times that we're living in, we cannot afford not to have wealth. But how can we have wealth if we don't have successful families? It's one thing for one person to work and make money, but when you bring two people who have brilliant minds, who have been brought together by God and who are covered by God and who are inspired by the Holy Spirit to do things the right way, come on now, that family will be a powerful force to reckon with for the kingdom. There is money, there is wealth, there is support. There is everything that is needed to bring success in our community. And that is when our African community can really begin to rise up the ladder in the financial space in the diaspora. So that's really my heart on this matter. I know I've said a lot, but I really feel like we need to address this issue. I don't think it's absolutely necessary for us to be fully indoctrinated to thinking that we have to ship someone from somewhere in order to find God's will for ourselves. Except if, again, like I've been stressing, if that's what God has told you to do, please do it. Don't listen to me. But all I'm saying is, let's figure out a way as diasporans to live together, to do family together, to build our community strong. If we're not able to build our community strong, we're going to remain at the bottom of the wealth ladder. We might individually, one by one, be making our success stories here and there, but as a community, we'll continue to be weak. And if a community is weak and does not have wealth in this space where we're living in, a lot of legislature will not be made in our favor. We will not have people in the right places to lobby and speak for us because we don't have people who have the power to command that position. We need our community to be wealthy so that we can have a voice and a seat at the table. There's so much more to this than meets the eye. It's not just about a man bringing a wife from Africa. There's nothing wrong with that. It's really about the problems that we have that has persisted, that has hindered us from building community wealth as a people. That is where I see the problem. That is where I have an issue with it, to say, okay, come, let's address this issue. It's not enough that we're not able to get our single men and women married here in diaspora. Now everybody's thinking they have to go outside of where we live to bring people in when we're struggling already. Come on now. But I just pray that God will give us all the wisdom that we need to make the right choices for ourselves. Again, I say, you can never make the right choice for yourself if you are not submitted and surrendered to the God who has all knowledge, all knowing, all understanding, to lead you, to guide you, to instruct you in how to go. You can never, I don't know, me, I can't. You know, I was thinking today about who runs the world. I saw this and I was like, well, who runs the world? They say girls. No, it's not girls, though. Girls don't run the world. Men don't run the world. God runs the world. And as long as we begin to think that one gender runs the world over the other, we'll continue to have conflict. But when we know that God runs the world and we are all his children, we are all God's children, we all belong to him, then we have truly created an environment where God can truly help us be the best versions of ourselves. The best wives, the best husbands, the best friends, the best relationship people, the best community. We can truly have everything that God has for us Once we begin to surrender and submit to him, knowing that he runs the world, he will begin to run our families. He will run our homes. He'll run our lives. And when God is in charge, look, do you guys even realize that when God is in charge, like the integrity of his name, the integrity of his person is on the line. He will go first into every battle that confronts you. I don't know if this topic has shifted, but it's all still family wealth and it's all still relationship related. When God is in charge of your life, the integrity of his person, the integrity of his name, the integrity of all that he is will stand for you. He will go into battle for you. He will go to war for you. He will keep your family together for you. He will ensure that everything that you lay your hands upon to do, it prospers. He's like, we don't even understand as humans when we're saying God is out of this, out of that. But when we put him at the center, he stands up and he is the Lord of hosts. Do you know who God is? I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I think he wants us to hear this. Because we all do this thing and say, it's my life, it's my choice, I'm making my money, I can spend my money, I can do, I can come, I can become, I can. No. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. The people and everything that is in it, they belong to him. We all belong to God. While he gives us the autonomy to want to be like, oh, we have free will. And he's there like, okay, I've given you your free will. But I'm hoping that with that free will, you borrow yourself some sense and understand and know who is who. I am still God. And for those who are putting him in that position that he is already, they see their lives flourish. They see their families thrive. They see their children thrive. And even when the enemy comes, which he always will, and people assume that just because you're surrendered to God, the enemy is not going to come at you. Do you realize that when you surrender your life to God and everything to God, that is when the enemy comes harder at you? That's when he comes harder at you because he's threatened by you. So don't get it twisted and assume that because, oh, now I'm in this God thing and God is, no, it's not a God thing. When you surrender your life to God, trust me, the enemy will come. But believe this, that he's not going to get through the defenses that God has mounted up around you already. He's not going to get through those defenses. He said, surely they will gather, but their gathering shall come to naught. To get it right in marriage, to get it right in relationship, to access the kingdom wealth that God has for us, we have to do it his way. And that's what I'm doing. Even if you've gotten it wrong like me, you can always course correct. He's in the business of restoring. He's in the business of fixing. He's in the business of do-overs. He's in the business of making right what was wrong. He's in the business of getting you to that expected end. He's in the business of ensuring that all things work together for good. So if one woman has broken your heart, even in this diaspora, God is in the business of giving you a wife in this space, if that is what he has for you. If men have disappointed you, even in this diaspora, God is in the business of giving you your own man, a king amongst men, a man that you will be so happy and at peace and joyful that you guys can do kingdom work together. He's in the business of giving it to you, and he can literally give it to you any way, anyhow he chooses. But let's stop making these cultural decisions out of a disillusionment that we have control over the outcomes. Let's stop making these cultural decisions out of a disillusionment that we have control over the outcomes, because we do not have control over the outcome. God knows the end from the beginning. And while you're there making your decisions and trying to ship your bride in from Africa, he's over here sitting down looking at you, waiting for you. He's watching, like, okay, let's see how that works out for you. Let's see all that money you're going to spend. Oh, and it might work out because that might just be his will for you. But trust me, as long as you're checking with him, that's all me I care about. I'm not here to condemn anyone who's making those choices. Those choices are very personal to everyone. I'm just here to offer an unbiased, double, triple-sided perspective of all of these things, and then round it up by saying that, look, at the end of the day, whatever angle you're coming from, whether you're coming from this side or this side, let's all come together and stand on one side to say, let's stand with God. God for us all, right? And you never, if God is for you, you never have to be for yourself. You know, Nigeria will say, God for us all man for himself. No, that's a wrong saying. When God is for you, you don't even have to be for yourself. What you got to do when God got the matter handled? What you got to do when God of the universe is in charge? Come on now, stop playing. Stop playing. This is my God, oh, you're talking about, well, he's your God too. But this is the God of the universe, the monarch of the universe. This is the one that we're talking about. Oh. Come on now. So if God be for us, who can be against us? So Africans unite, man. Africans unite. Let me end this live by saying, Africans unite. Come on now. Let's stop this division, whether it's financial division, marriage division, relationship. Africans unite. We are in diaspora. Let us unite. When we go back to the motherland, let's stay united. For those of us that are here, let us unite so that we can build strong communities that are wealthy, healthy, strong, so that our children can have a fighting chance in this nation. So that our children can have a fighting chance in this nation. It's up to us. Africans unite, man. Let's stop playing. Let's stop playing. We've come too far. I wanted to end this live like 15 minutes ago, but the Holy Spirit. Let's stop playing. We've come too far to come to the diaspora and be against each other. You guys know I love you, right? You do know I love you. But anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you going to ship? Would you be shipping a wife or husband from diaspora? Do you believe that, you got to ship a wife from Nigeria to get all the benefits of a good wife or a good husband? Or what are your thoughts? Let's hear it. Let's share. And of course, if you are into, being part of a great thriving community like we have in the Singles Connect, come through. We'll love to have you. All right, guys, this is Dr. O. As always, I love you.